Here we go. So hello everyone, my name is Ilaria Peavy and I am the Housing and Arrival Coordinator at NSCC. And just before we start with the presentation, I thought to do a bit of an introduction. We have an NSCC student here. Sanchini, maybe you can introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, thanks, Ilaria. I am Sachini Madhushika. I am a second year student of Business Administration program at NSCC Avenue campus. Yeah, that's it, a short introduction.
Perfect, yes. And just for the sake of time, we have a lot to present. So we'll just start and then we will get back to you with all our questions. So I'm just going to turn off my camera so that we can focus on the slides. And okay. You should be able to see just the housekeeping items. So as you have noticed, all of you are joining in muted mode, just because we're quite a few, so it's always better to join the webinar this way. However, if you have any questions, please use the question box and we will get back to you either at the end of the presentation or after. So after the presentation, which is being recorded, I should definitely say that, I will share with you the slides and reply to any of your questions within 48 business hours. If you have still any unanswered questions, something that comes up in a later day, please use the housing@nscc.ca email to get back to me and I will reply as soon as I can. So I want to welcome you from, I really want to open with a land acknowledgement and welcoming you from Turtle Island, also known as Canada, and as I speak from Mi'kmaq, which is the unceded territory and ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. When in opening this presentation and many other presentations, I'm always reminded to be guided by a spirit of welcome and also connection to both the land and its people. We're really all reminded that this place has significance itself and we have an obligation to share the stewardship of this land. So it is really with this spirit of welcome and gratitude that we're gathering today to discuss your arrival, your transportation needs. We've had many webinars as well about housing needs. And for those of you that want to learn more about the Mi'kmaq Nation and its really rich culture, I've included some resources and I really invite you to take the time and explore more to learn more. What are we going to learn today? So today we're going to talk about mainly, I would say, three big topics. So the bus system and how the bus system works. And I just, for some reason, in terms of services and how it works, I've decided to divide it into HRM. So those of you who are attending Halifax and Dartmouth campuses, and the bus system in rural communities. So whatever is not HRM. We have this student experience, of course. So Shin is going to share their experience with us and how the transportation system works, and maybe the things that they would have wanted to know when they were coming to the campus first. And I'm also going to talk about how you transfer to your campus, because I know that some students obviously are not going to HRM, so this is an important part to know. And this is when I would say the first part of the presentation is going to stop. And then for those of you, because it's going to be quite long, and then for those of you that still can attend and can remain, I'm going to talk about driving, getting a driving license and providing you with some links so that if you are interested in this, you can learn even more. So an overview of the transportation system in Nova Scotia, I would say that what you see highlighted is really what tends to work best. So especially in rural communities, having a vehicle is almost a must. Now, some campuses have a bus system in place. Are in communities that have a bus system in place, and I will show you, but you will see that the more, especially some rural communities, having a car or a vehicle makes your life easier. So this is really what the general public also uses, despite the fact that having public transportation in these communities is very important. The bus system is the preferred way to go around for students that stay in HRM, so all the campuses of Halifax and Dartmouth. While for active transportation, such as biking or walking, I would say it's more of a seasonal option. So you can definitely walk or bike in the summer, maybe in the spring as well. But then I wouldn't count on just using these two ways to go to college, especially if you live a little bit further away from campus. And with winter, things aren't really easy. You know, it's icy, slippery, and so on. So we do have some trains. You will notice that there is a train station in Truro and other communities as well. However, these are not really for commuting purposes. So you take the train to go for long distances. So don't think that you can maybe live in HRM and go to Truro using the train. That would really not be super doable. Not really. So the ferries, there's also a couple of options if you are living in downtown Halifax and you want to be connected with downtown um, Dartmouth, or if you're going to NSCC Ivany campus, there is a commute. I call it the commuter ferries because it really runs from Monday to Friday and it connects Halifax to Woodside. I will show you more in depth how the ferry system works in terms of links where you can find the timetables and everything. But just to say that, that this is also an option. So talking about the rural communities that have a bus system, I am not, just for the sake of time, I'm not really going to go into each and every link that I've put here, but know that if you're going to, let's say, Bridgewater, so the Lunenburg campus, Sydney, Marconi campus, Stellarton, so Pictou campus, Kentfield, the Annapolis Valley, and King's Tech, and Cogs and Aviation, and the Annapolis Valley campuses, or Yarmouth in Burridge campus, there is a bus system that works. So if you're going to one of these campuses, please take the time to, when you receive the slides of the presentations, take the time to maybe use the scanning code or click on the link and familiarize with what kind of bus system is there in place. I've just picked the first one, Bridgewater, to give you an example. So you can see like all these links that just in the previous page have a website, and in the website is usually a map, and then sometimes they also have a, like Bridgewater has a transit tracker, so an app where you can see where the bus is going and how long it's going to take you before it arrives where you are. So you see that these campuses are served by the bus, and there's definitely a bus stop very close to your NSCC campus. However, you also see that these buses in rural communities tend to go around a circle. So if you live within that circle, if it's very convenient. If you happen to find accommodation that is outside of that circle, or maybe your children are going to a school that is not really served by the public transit, it becomes more complicated. So best advice here is to use the links and see how the public transit works in your community, and how often is the bus going to pick you up. Maybe it's every 30 minutes, maybe it's every hour, and maybe there's no bus on Saturday or Sunday. So it's an option, but I just want to throw it out there that you need to be familiar with how with this bus system is in place. There are some rural communities without a bus system. Shelburne, Spring Hills over the Cumberland campus, Port Hawkesbury, Strait Area campus, and Truro. So many students ask me, what are the options here? As I said, you could walk or bike, but it really depends on where you end up living, and it might not really be a great option in the winter. Some students decide to use taxis, sometimes even sharing taxis, especially on grocery days, which will be Tuesday when you have discount if you show your student ID card. We know that there are many students that decide to take a taxi altogether. They go, they buy their groceries and come back and split the bill. This is an option as well. Carpooling will be the same thing. Maybe a friend has a car and you all decide to co-drive the car, or to drive and stay together. Or many families especially decide and opt down the road to really buy a vehicle because it's the best way for them. So once again, it has to do with where you find housing, where you're taking your children to school, if you have any children. So it comes down to your particular situation. Things in Halifax are quite different, and I've put down the title of Halifax Transit, but really it also includes some communities in Dartmouth and, for example, Eastern Passage or other smaller communities. So we're really talking here about HRM, so students going to the campuses of Halifax and Dartmouth. You will qualify for the UPass, which is really a great way to save money. You can find more information on the link I've showed you there. But basically, the UPass is a sticker that is going to be applied on your student ID card, and it allows you to take all the public buses, and including the ferries, everywhere around the HRM area. So it is really a great option to save money, because I think the cost is 183 for the entire dollars for the entire academic year, while just a bus, and the link will have the correct information, but just a bus pass for a month would be way over 800, sorry, $80. So you can see how much you're saving. You're saving so much money, from more than $80 per month to 183. So it really is a great way to save. Children under 12 ride for free. So a further incentive to use the bus if you have a family with children. So you will be covered by the U-Pass, but then your child will be traveling for free. I remind you that right now the use of masks is mandatory. I don't know how things will evolve in the future, but this is how the situation is right at the moment. So don't forget to wear them. And I would really invite you to use the transit app, even if you're still in your home country, just want to play around and see how things work. Like, I'm looking for a house, and I'm finding this place, and how long does it take to go to the from here to my to my college with the bus. So if you download the transit app, and the green S sort of the thing that you see there is the symbol, you can download it and you can start playing around and seeing how long it takes you. I've also included a link to your, let's say, to this page, which is the Halifax Transit page. You have always information about the service disruptions, fare tickets and passes, and obviously, as I said, you will have the U-Pass. But if you have a family member that doesn't qualify for the U-Pass because they're not a student, they can also get passes for some discount. So this is really a useful page that I would say start exploring, because, as you know, finding housing is difficult, but finding housing is also something that you want to find something is also close to maybe your bus route. So you should go hand in hand. Housing and transportation, you should be looking at both at the same time. The website also includes some guides on how to ride the transit. So again, when you receive the presentation, you will see there's a link that you can use, and you will have videos that are in all these languages, and also printed guides. So you can just watch them from home now. You don't need to be here. So it's very useful, and also the guide as well. There are also some more videos here that you can find. A guide to use Halifax Transit. So how you use the bus or the ferry. Obviously, many of you will have taken the public transit in many other countries, but it can be different, right? It can be just different. So it's a short video, 5 or 10 minutes, and I would just say watch it. It's going to be useful to really learn the things that you should know when you're taking the bus or the ferry. So from where it's taking you to how do you pay, or even how you plan your trip, and things that you have to consider. So because of the sake of time, I can't really show you the videos because they are 5 to 10 minutes each, and that will be the remaining of the presentation, but I leave them to you. You have all the links there. So I want to put back my camera on, and I hope that you are not seeing any questions. So I'm just going to ask you questions, Achini, but I just want to remind your audience that you can use the question box, and I can read out aloud the questions to for students. So I am not seeing any, but just don't be shy and put that there. And I just want to start asking you from a student perspective, like, did you use the bus? I would say, like the public transit system, the ferry.
I just use the bus service. I haven't used the ferry yet.
Okay, and
Yes.
that's okay. Still, you still have a great experience in using the bus. What do you think was the most like? What did you have a moment when you were taking the bus and thought, I wish somebody had told me this. I wish I had known this before
Yes.
boarding the bus.
Yeah, of course. So many instances. Like I still remember my first bus ride, and I didn't know anything at all about how the system works. So it my first day was very confused, but I can remember staying in a roadside, knowing nothing. But one lady came over to me, and she took me with her, and she showed how should I access the bus. So it's pretty easy. The thing is, now in Halifax and Dartmouth, we have the bus service is easily accessible. That means there are buses to every corner of HRM and Dartmouth. So you don't have to worry about having whether we have bus service to that town or this town. No, there are a lot of buses. There are a lot of routes. So they have different numbers starting from 1 to, I guess, until 100 something. So that means you can imagine how much routes, how many buses we have. So yeah, that's it.
But do you remember, like, as I said, many students will have the U Pass, but and I'm going to answer to a couple of questions as well. But it's a sticker that you receive on your student card. But did it happen to you that before you could use the pass, you had to pay and pay cash? And do you remember how it was? Was it did you ask for a transfer? How did it go?
Yeah. So actually, so I came pretty earlier than the school starts, so I had to use the bus ticket. And so the bus ticket is $1.80 for an adult. Uh, so they sell bus tickets in 10, 10 ticket sheets. You can buy them from like Shoppers Drug Mart and Lawton's Drug Mart, or either in bus terminals. Maybe you all have seen like the main bus terminals in HRM and Dartmouth, like the Bridge Terminal, Mumford Terminal, and the Lacewood Terminal. So you can buy bus passes and bus tickets from all these locations. And so I have one of the sheets in here.
Lovely, great.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes. And so
I have
just
used two of these, and there are 8 of these in here. So you can tier one of these for one ride, and usually we get into the bus from the front door, and the driver is there, and the coin box is there for you to put either coins or the bus ticket. You can either put coins, the exact amount, like, sorry, I'm sorry, the bus fare is 275 for an adult. I got wrong. 180 is for youth and seniors. 275 is for an adult. So you can just put 275 exact amount in coins, or either put one of these bus tickets. And the driver, you should request for transfer from the bus driver, like, hey, can I have a transfer sheet? So they will give you a sheet like this.
you're super prepared. I was
Yeah,
thinking, no, I should have kept it. I took the bus the other day, but look at you. Wow.
yeah. So here you can see the transfer sheet. This you can see the holes in there. That means they have punched the date, month, and yeah, the date and the month of the day. So, and here, this you can see something like a chart in here. That
Yes.
means it starts from 6 a.m. It goes until 12 midnight, and when you enter the bus, the driver will issue this as per your request, and this they will tier this one from certain places, like, let's say if you get into the bus at about 6 a.m., and they will tier this one 7, 8, 9. So from the place where you have 9 a.m., because this transit paper is valid only for 3 hours. That means if you get this one when you are entering to your first bus, you can use this one to transfer to another bus, or maybe to take another journey within that 3 hours period of time. After that, this sheet is invalid. You have to buy another one. So that's pretty easy. And there is also this bus
Yes.
pass. This is the adult bus pass. This is an old one. So you can see the fare is $82.50. It's a bit expensive. But as students, we get the U pass from the our campus. But let's say your family members, they are going to work every day, and so the using these tickets, that could be very expensive, because if someone is going to work, he or she should buy a transit in the morning, and when he or she comes home during the evening as well. So that means you have spent two tickets, $2.75 into two. So so in that case, buying a bus pass is cheaper. You can calculate the amount, maybe multiply 275 into 2 into 30 days. So another thing, this is the regular bus pass, but you can request for a low income affordable bus pass from the Halifax transit page. That's half of this amount, like $40 something. You will have to fill an application form for that, and so they will issue you a low income bus pass. If you are willing to purchase that, that would be a great help. uh, yeah, so the transit paper is in different colors like this.
Yes.
They have different colors for different days. So yeah, that's it.
That's wonderful. You even kept the old transit so that we can see all the colors is so lovely of you. And I just ran some numbers, and you're absolutely right. So the buying and sometimes I do that too, especially working from home. I just buy the bus sheets, and then that's cheaper. It's a few cents cheaper, like those that you showed. However, if you start taking the bus every day to go to a place and then come back, at the end of the month for 30 days, it will be $165. So if you have any family members that is taking the bus frequently, they should go with a monthly bus pass for sure. So
Yeah.
um, now that we have COVID, still living with COVID, as I said, all masks are required, and the bus driver will be sitting behind a shield as well. So, and they will also be wearing a mask, but still, the shield is something that you can see through. So you can just show either you put your coins, don't put cash, because our lowest bill I think is $5, and then it will be too much. They can't give you any change. So you really need to have either coins or a bus ticket. Otherwise, you're just paying so much for your bus ride, unless you're paying for two or more people. So, but this is how you enter the bus, and then you always want to show the transfer as well. And something really important that you said, you enter the bus from the first door, and then you slowly make your way to go towards the back.
Yeah.
And you
Usually
should use,
we
yeah,
take rear seats, because the front seats are like you can sit anyway, but if a wheelchair user comes to the bus, so you will have to move to the rear seat. And so what I usually do is I just take a rear seat, and we get down from the rear door. Actually, we don't use the front door, and especially due to COVID reasons, the bus the people have been advised to use the rear door.
yeah,
And yeah, especially you should wear the mask, because the other day I saw one passenger. She was requesting to enter the bus without the mask, but the bus driver didn't allow her. So you should take the mask. It's mandatory in the bus service now.
Yes, yes, yes. And also something, maybe for some students that decide to bike, I would say rarely that you will be really biking to campus, but just for your information, like almost all buses are equipped to take at least two bicycles. So you will have a rack that you could take down, and then you could ask even for support from the driver to put your bike there. But most buses are wheelchair accessible. And what else? I'm just thinking about the regular, like the rules. When you're in the bus, you should avoid like having drinks that could spill. And especially now because you have to take your mask, so it becomes a problem to drink. And also avoid food. I don't think the food is allowed or permitted for allergies, for, it could become a mess or anything. So smoking is not permitted on board. Loud music, I would just say as a courtesy, it's also sometimes written, you should really be using your headset. So it's not very common to have someone that maybe plays music loud on a mobile phone or something. It can happen, but I would say it's not really very common, especially because you need to be a bit mindful of other people. So
And
I
you are
think,
not
yeah,
allowed to carry the regular paper cups. They're issued in Tim
yes,
Hortons and everyone. So you are just allowed to carry a travel mug only. Otherwise, the bus driver will ask you to put that in the garbage bag. We
yeah.
all the buses, they carry a garbage bag inside the bus. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, I'm just going through the questions. So I will answer to those that I know and those that I think that you know. I would love for you to answer because I think it's so much more valuable to have a student perspective. So, are there student discounts on other bus systems in Nova Scotia? Yes. So if you're taking like maritime buses or shuttle buses, and we will get to that part of the presentation in a few minutes, always say that you are an NSCC student. Always show your card and you will get some discounts. And sometimes you have to say it, sometimes it will be clear on the website. So when you mail us a student ID, it comes with a sticker for the bus pass. I will need to double check in this. I'm not really super familiar with the rules, but it's my understanding that you're paying for the UPass with your tuitions, and so you will have the sticker on the ID card. But I will leave it there, and I will get back to you in writing um, when I reach out to all the students. So is it convenient to take a bus in the winter? What's your experience?
Uh, yes, there are like pros and cons both. So during the winter, like if it's a snow day, sometimes we have bus stops with covers, and some other places we just have the bus stop only, no place, no waiting area. So that's a great difficulty which I have faced. So another thing is the floor on the bus is very slippery. So you will have to be careful when you get inside the bus because all the people comes with snow, and when the snow melts, it becomes water inside. So you will have to be very careful when moving around in the bus. And the other thing is, I would say it's not really difficult to access the bus, but sometimes there are incidents like detours happening in the buses because of the snow days. Like when it's really heavy snowing, they just announce us with the snow plans. Like they take detours. They just don't reach for some bus stops. So all you have to do is, I would suggest, if you are using the transit app, you can turn on the notifications for the transit app, and it will show you the detour information like at the beginning of the day, and it will say which bus stops the bus is not accessing today and which bus stops they are going to access instead of the other ones. So that would
Yes.
be easier. And the Halifax Transit app shows you real-time data. So sometimes the buses do get late for like 5 minutes, especially on rainy days and snow days. So even though the buses get late, still you can see the real time. which the bus comes, and you can check that time and go to the bus stop. So that would be easier for you guys during the winter. And the other thing is, I was very confused about the bus stops
Mhm.
at the very beginning, because we have bus stops in both the sides of the road, and we don't know to which bus stop we should go. And the other thing is, if you are not uh, at the correct bus stop, the bus driver won't stop the bus for you. So you will have to make sure that you are in the correct bus stop. So for that, what I am doing is I just use my Google Maps, because if you, when you put your destination in there, it shows the there's a number for each bus stop. If you can go to a bus stop and see that there's a, a card, something like that, a poster, and in that poster, all the bus numbers which pass through that bus stop are mentioned, and towards the bottom of that card, there is a bus stop number. So you will have to always see whether that bus stop number is the same as it shows in the Google Maps. The Halifax Transit app doesn't show that number in the app, but in Google Maps, you can see that number with like 8506,
Yeah.
8507, different numbers. You can double check the number in the Google Maps and the bus stop, and you can stand in the correct bus stop, and make sure that you reach the bus stop like 5 minutes before, so you can be prepared wearing your mask and with the bus pass and everything, and the bus tickets or coins and everything. And when you like go to the bus stop, don't you can just walk around before the bus arrives, but there is one instance, and I was like a small distance away from the bus stop, like maybe 5 steps, but the bus driver didn't stop the bus for me. And you should make sure to be at the bus stop when it's time for the bus to come. And yeah, I think that's it
Yeah,
regarding
no,
the
it's super
winter. Yeah.
useful. And sometimes just because my phone hasn't got a lot of data, I just don't really like. I have Wi-Fi at home, and I have Wi-Fi at the college, and my data plan is not super. So sometimes, if I don't want to run out of all the data using the app, what I do is that when I wait at the bus stop, I use my phone but to call. So there is a number that you can always call, and just to know when the bus is coming. So just be a bit patient, because sometimes they don't get to all the numbers when you're dialing. So you can just call, put the number, push the bus stop, and it will tell you the destination. Like, this is the bus is going to, let's say, number 60, going to Eastern Passage. So it tells you the destination and how to get there. So that's also an option. Really great information about the snow. We have somebody else is asking, so how do you get out? Do you need to press some button, or do something before you're getting off the bus, or you just wait? What do you do?
Yeah. So in the bus, uh, your next stop, the bus will automatically announce the next stop, and it will also display on a screen. So you just have to do is, when it's the next stop, if the next stop is the place where you're getting down, you just have to ring the bell. So there are some switches in the poles inside the bus, and as well as some kind of a wire, I guess, in the two sides of the bus. So you just have to pull it or either press the button. So it will show in the screen as stop requested. So the bus driver knows that you will be getting down from the next stop. Yeah, that's it.
It's also very useful when you're sitting in the bus, because like I remember taking the bus years ago and there was nothing like this. There wasn't the app. You didn't really know where you were going, but now it's clearly announced. So it's also, you can see it written in front of you, and it's also announced. So that matches when you have no idea where you're going, you're having, you're looking at your app and you're also seeing exactly the bus. So it will be good. There are a couple of other questions that I'm going to address with some links and some resources for the UPass, because they're all UPass related questions. But they are asking about, so some students are asking about making a connection between Halifax and Dartmouth and the
Yes.
campuses. So what happens if I live in Halifax, but I go to Dartmouth? My best advice would be to really check from now using the app and imagine what would it be if I were to live on one side or the other, because of two things. So Halifax and Dartmouth are connected through a system of bridges. However, when there is traffic, you can be stuck on the bridge for a long time. So not just in snow conditions, but really peak hours during the morning and when you're coming back from work or school. So this would be the first thing. And the second is, because you could be stuck on the bus, you could be missing connections. So I would suggest, it's not very ideal, I think, to live in Halifax and then attending Dartmouth or vice versa. The only way I see that could work a little bit easier is if you were to take the ferry from, let's say, from Ibony, so using the Woodside ferry and living in downtown Halifax. But busing one way to, like, all taking all the bus, it will take you from the bridge and so on, that will become long. So my best advice would be to use the app and to imagine how long it would take you to to do this. So do you often miss connections? I would say when they are within the 5 minutes, because it depends. And if you have to wait 10 minutes, you're very likely to take your connecting bus. But if it's just 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I've never been able to make it when it's under 5 minutes, and especially during peak hours. Personally, I don't know about you.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't get it.
Sorry, yeah, you froze for a second. I was just saying that when you're waiting, like let's say the bus terminal, 10 minutes waiting, then it's very likely that you're going to get your connection. However, when you're seeing on the app that there's a connection of 2-3 minutes, you're very likely to miss the connection, especially when there's traffic. So leave a bit of
Yeah.
time to connect with buses, because otherwise you might miss it. My experience.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. So I live in Halifax and I have to cross the bridge to reach the campus. So maybe I will have to take like two buses for that, because from Halifax I take one bus, and I have to reach the bridge terminal, and then from the bridge terminal I have to take another bus number 60 Eastern Passage or something to go to the campus. So in the mornings, like during the rush hours, everyone is going to work, and uh, it would be traffic in the bridge. There are many instances I stuck in the traffic on the bridge. So it's better if you can leave from home a bit early. First, you can check the time for your journey before starting your journey, and using the app. So according to that, you can work on the time and get ready for your bus ride.
Yes, because the app will tell you when you want to leave, if you want to leave right now, or when you want to be at the app. So I usually say I want to arrive by, let's say, 7:30, 8, whatever, and I set the time, and then it goes backwards in telling me from the moment I should be leaving the house. So there are a couple of other questions about rural campuses, if there's going to be more than one bus. The bus system we'll be really having focusing on is the HRM. For other campuses, there is one bus. So if you're going to, let's say, Kinstech or the Valley or Burridge or any other places, I would say that no, there's only one bus going in one direction. It usually does a loop or serves the main road, and then this will be it. So you need to pay attention and knowing exactly the time, and if it's a system that sort of works for you. With the last 20 minutes, I think I should be going ahead and at least explain to students how to transfer to their campuses. And then if I still have the time for those who want to stay, I'm going to explain about driving, but just want to be sure that I'm covering for the next 20 minutes what the students have signed up for. So I don't know how to thank you, because it was a great it was really great to hear from you, all the precious information and your experience. Um, I don't know if you want to leave us right now, and I know that you're busy and you're giving us your time. If you want to remain until the end of the presentation, it is entirely up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera. But once again, thank you so much. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, you're welcome, Valeria, and it was a great pleasure to share my experiences with the new students in here, and I welcome you all to NSCC in fall.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day, guys.
You too. Let me see if you can see still my screen if I am proceeding. Yes, so transferring to your campus. So many students have this question, like I arrive in Halifax, how do I transfer to my campus? And I just want to be a little bit careful here because you know that some of you might still have to quarantine. Okay, so the first question that you should ask yourself is it worth in terms of money and distance to directly transfer to my quarantine location if I have to quarantine to my campus? And how do I do this? Because if you have to quarantine, you know that you have to have safe transportation, and so a taxi could be really expensive for long distances, or renting a car might be also another option. But assuming that you're not quarantining, that you're just transferring to your campus, some students rent a car, some students use public buses or shuttle buses, and some other students use a taxi. But I would say you use a taxi when you're sort of very close to the area already. I think, for example, if you're going to Sydney or to Yarmouth, that are sort of really far away from Halifax Airport, it's going to be almost 4 hours, right? So taking the taxi is going to be super expensive. So you need to think about that too. I would prefer using so shuttle and shuttle buses. Obviously, as I said, if you do not have to quarantine, because that qualifies as public transportation. But also, I encourage you to familiarize with your community. We had some students that confused the Lunenburg campus with the Lunenburg city and community. Now, Lunenburg campus is in the Lunenburg County, but it's in the city of Bridgewater. And Cogs is in Lawrencetown, which is it's in the valley. So we have two different Lawrence towns, so to say. One is a very famous surfing destination, but it's completely far away from Lawrencetown, where your campus is in the Annapolis Valley. So make sure that you know where you're going. And if you decide to book shuttle buses online, don't expect everyday service. They really serve communities very well. However, there might be a bus that maybe runs on Mondays or Wednesday, and then you really wanted to go that on Tuesday or Thursday. So you need to book in advance and see in advance where you're going. Also, bus shuttles are going to drop you to drop-off location. So it could be the local pharmacy or superstore, or the local, I don't know, like sort of like a drop-off, central drop-off location. So from there, you might have to take a local taxi to go to your final destination. So I know that this is difficult to really understand and say, like, where I have questions, how do I find this? So we have two resources. The first one will be the iSent app. So if you use the app, this is how the interface will look like. The first image that you see there. So when you click on about your campus, you will have a list of all campuses going from Akerley to Truro, so all of them will be there. I've just picked Burridge because it's the one I picked, and I just decided this way, but all campuses will have the same information. And then you just have to click on how to reach your campus, and then you will have an explanation with the also with the links. So you will see if they're saying there are two bus shuttles, you can just click on the link, make your phone calls, see if they have a website, see if you can book online, and always mention that you are a student. So this way you will qualify for a discount, because I've spoken with many service providers, and many people do offer discounts to students. So please use the app if you haven't used it yet. I know that most of you, at least if you had to come from abroad, you had to use the app to submit your quarantine plan. So you should have the app on your phone. So make sure that you're using it. You also see that the information on your campus has more information about transportation options or banking, groceries, and everything. So you might also find it useful for this. We also have a page where you can scan the code, or you can see the link that you see there, and it takes you to the sub-site specifically for international students. However, if you are a domestic student, nothing prevents you from using it as well, because it's useful information to transfer to your own campus. So you can see that there too. This is the second part of the presentation. Just want to quickly see if I have answered to all the questions about the public transit, because I know that there are many students that have questions about cars, and so I've included this in the presentation. However, before I go ahead, I just want to be sure that I've addressed most. So as I said, the student ID card, I will send you more information. That I want to take them from our website, and I want to be sure that they are correct. Because what I know is that it's a sticker that you put on your student ID cards, but you're having quite specific questions that I don't know to answer right at the moment. If there are any discounts for car rentals, yes, there could be. So you just have to approach a company and ask them, I would like to rent a car for the long term, maybe a month or so on. How do I go about this? And I would just say shop around and use around. So there is a student who is asking about using the bus from a specific place to another for commuting purposes. I think we've answered this question. Make sure that you're putting the address of the place where you would like to go, the place where that your campus is, and so you will realize how long it's going to take you. Before you get your ID, would you suggest that we purchase a day pass to get to your campus if it's not within walking distance? So a day pass, there isn't really a day pass. You will buy tickets. So there is a month pass. I would not suggest you buy, because you will have your U pass, but you could buy a couple of tickets, maybe just even 5, and then you don't need to buy the entire sheet. You can just buy fewer. But then if you're just going one day and then coming back, that's not really worth it, because you can't really buy the single sheets. You have to buy the single passes. You have to buy the sheet. So consider that. Okay, so if you have to take 3 buses on one trip, is the transfer good for the next 2 buses or just for one? It goes by the time. So it's if you can take 3, 5, 10 eventually buses, whatever you want within that time, the amount of time, that's okay. It's valid for 3 hours. So, okay, I think most of the questions would be, do you only get 1 transfer per ride, or can you take more than 1 bus with the transfer paper? You can take as many buses as you want within that time. So always show that piece of paper that they give to you. I have classes at 8:30 at Akerley. If I leave downtown Halifax, what time is appropriate to leave home? I would say at least maybe an hour early, but the best advice I can give you is to try and use the app, because in the app you could say, well, I live here and I would like to arrive by 8:30, and then you will see what the app is going to suggest you. So I think it's within the hour, but then look at a few options. So in the last 10 minutes that are remaining, I'm going to quickly approach the issue of driving in Nova Scotia. A license, if you have a license from another country, what do you have to do? So you really need to get a Nova Scotia license within 90 days of becoming a resident, because as a student, you are considered a resident. So let's see how you can do this. If you have a license that is from the countries that you see there, so from Austria, Germany, Isle of Man, South Korea, Taiwan, United Kingdom of Great Britain, and Northern Ireland, there is a reciprocal license exchange agreement, so you can exchange it, and it's really fast. You just take a vision screening test, you disclose all medical conditions that you might have, provide an English translation if it's needed, you surrender your driving license. So there's an exchange. You can't really keep both. You surrender your license, you pay a fee, and you get your license. If your driving license is from one of these countries. All other countries, with the exclusion of the United States, which is a bit particular, and we're going to see that in a second, it's a little bit different. So you need to buy a knowledge test receipt, you buy a road test receipt, then you complete a few tests, or vision, signs, rules, and road tests, and then depending on your situation, you might be required to enter the graduated driver licenses system. So I have included in a few slides all the links with the exact pages where you can see step by step how to do these things, because this is a very high level presentation to explaining how it works. But then obviously you need to see more in details. There's also a link to the Nova Scotia Driver's Handbook if you want to know how, we're talking about knowledge test, where how do you take the knowledge test by studying this handbook. So if you have a license from another Canadian province or from the United States, I would say the process is easier. So you disclose all medical conditions or that might prevent you from safely driving a motor vehicle. You surrender your license at the time of exchange. So if you have a license from, let's say, Ontario, Alberta, any place, and the States as well. So you surrender this, and in exchange you get your Nova Scotia license. There is a fee. However, PI and New Brunswick licenses are exchanged at no cost. Remember to say that you are a student, because if you're coming from a different province, but you are a student, you can prove it through your student ID, you get your license for cheaper, $25 or something. There's also a photo administration fee of close to $12. All the prices will be up to date in the link I've shared to you, because I put together this presentation a couple of weeks ago, but you never know, things could change. So students who have no driving license at all from no other countries, just have to start from scratch. They will take a vision test. They will take a knowledge test. So on that booklet I've showed you before, whose link I've showed you before, they will get a learner's license. And when you get a learner's license, you have several restrictions, like when you are allowed to drive, if you are allowed to take passengers, and so on. Once you get that, you take a road test, and then you will get the newly licensed driving license, which again will have some restrictions, like absolutely no alcohol can be consumed before you're driving, the number of passengers, the time of the day or night when you can drive, and so on. It will be very specific, and it will be written on your license as well. So where can you find all the detailed information? Because I know it's a lot. You really need to look under Service Nova Scotia Registry of Motor Vehicles. You will see that there's a link in the slides. So once again, you can scan it or you can use the link, and then you will find all the information based on your specific situation. What we think is good to know, especially when I was speaking to some students, you will need to provide translations in many cases, and translations might not be valid from your home country. So before you incur into expenses and having documents translated from your home country, check here, because on this site, so the Registry of Motor Vehicles and Service Nova Scotia, they will tell you what translations are accepted and where can you go for translations as well. Be patient, because especially during COVID times, there has been a backlog of people that really wanted to get their license and had to wait. So it might take you longer than what you thought it would take you to get one. And also, I think for safety reasons, let's say you have a roadside test and it starts to snow, they will postpone it to a day when there's no snow. So it becomes, in a way, that many students arrive in the fall and they all really try to book the test, and you might not get it before really the proper winter hits. So get some support. I've included a handbook, not just with some information about well, how to study, but also some schools. It is okay sometimes to also, even if you have a license from your home country and you just want to get the test and get your license, sometimes to book a few, let's say, a few times with an instructor, with someone that can help you, because rules are quite different, and so it's good to have a refresher. Also consider the budget. Like, are you ready to own your own vehicle? Maybe you have the option to use, as Sashini was saying, if you use the public transit, if you're in HRM, or even if you are in a rural campus, maybe you can still use the bus, even if it's maybe less frequent and there are fewer buses, you can still use that, and then you will save some money. So think about that, because purchasing a car can be expensive. You have to account for some expenses, like transferring the title transfer cost. So you have to think about a mechanic, just even in terms of the purchase. to do a full check. My best advice when you're thinking about budgeting to buy a car, not even to maintain it, but just to buy it, is to shop around, ask private owners or dealers, and have your car do a full check. So if you're buying it from a dealer, probably something that they're already doing for you. If you're buying from a private owner, have it really checked from a mechanic to avoid sort of surprises. And so there's also some costs related to your driving license. Translations. Last time I checked from the iSense, which is this place where they can do translations for you, it's usually $30. There's also road test, knowledge test, and the picture and the application. Don't really quote me on the numbers because they might change, but this is just to give you an idea about the cost to get a driving license. Car insurance. Because, and if you are an international student that has no Canadian driving history, because you've never used a car in Canada, expect high cost. So it could go from $150 per month up to $400. Shop around for quotes. It's very important that you don't just stop for the first person. And once you insure your car, sometimes you can ask your bank or ask friends, ask and ask for, maybe I would say 5 to 10 different quotes to see exactly what your insurance is covering, and so on. Consider some ongoing expenses like winter tires, having a mechanic doing the routine checks, and also obviously put gas. So you can use some gas cards to collect points and save some money. It's good, but still the main expense is that you have to fill the tank to go around. So these are things that you need to consider as well. When you're looking for housing, if you decided you want to have a car because it's really what you want and how you can meet your family needs and your own needs, be mindful of winter parking bans and weekly street cleaning. So winter parking bans, I think they start from December 15th and they go all the way to perhaps March, if I'm not wrong. So it means that every time that there is a heavy snowfall and the snowplow has to clear the streets, you have to find a different way to park. So this is why I'm saying this is the problem with off-street parking. While many applications, if you're applying for an apartment building or so on, they will ask you if you have a car, and then you will say yes. It's much more convenient because otherwise you find yourself, if you're having a very snowy and bad winter, having to run around finding a parking place during the winter time. And also the weekly street cleanings, that could be that you're not allowed to park outside, let's say on Tuesday from 6 in the morning up until midday. And so you need to remember on Monday afternoon that you need to bring, or evening, that you need to park your car in a different spot. So you can work around this if you don't want to spend the extra, let's say $100 in a parking spot, but it's something that you need to consider. So when you're applying for housing, if you want to have a car and if you want to have a sort of a garage or a place where you can place it, know that this will be an added expense in this sense. So just to conclude, and I will use the last couple of minutes to get back to some of you, we're here for you. So obviously, if you have any questions, you can contact us at the emails that you see there. My email, well, I would reply to you, will be thehousing@nscc.ca. But we have a fantastic team of international students and international student ambassadors that are really happy to get back to you to any questions that you might have as well. So I'm just going to take few questions. Okay, so any link from driving rules from bicycle? No, it's a good question. Like, I think that if you have a bike, you should just be aware of general rules, but there's no driving license, no license that you have to take if you're driving a bicycle. But you need to know that if you are using a bicycle, helmet is compulsory, and you're not really allowed to bike on the curb, like on the sidewalk. So you need to use to bike on the street. So it sounds like people from countries with a driving license, other countries driving license, and people without the same without a driving license is the same process from scratch. It is and it isn't. When I had to change my own driving license from a country that was not the United States and was not one of those 5 or 6 that I gave you in the first slide, I did have to do a road test and knowledge test, but I had no restrictions. So it is, you do take it from scratch in a way, but it is faster because you will have fewer restrictions. So once the process is done, it is faster. While if you're taking it from the very beginning, your license will have a lot more restrictions in this case. And I don't think I, it's a good question, this one, because I don't think I read one of the points. I probably have missed it. So in good to know, in the slide good to know, it was mentioned that you need to have your own car to take the test. So yes, so sometimes it's good that you're booking an extra, let's say, lesson with a school, even if you already know how to drive, just so that you can also get the vehicle. So you can get a refresher of the rules, and then you can keep the same vehicle to do the exam and the test. So it is important that you show up on the day of the test, of the road test, with your own car. Yes. And maybe I can go back for a second to where it was that I didn't explain. It will be in the good to know. Your own vehicle is required on test day. So I skipped that, but I have now explained. So once again, thank you so much for joining me here today, for joining Sachini. So it was really wonderful to hear from her. We'll get back to you to any unanswered questions, and you will receive the slides also very soon. So thank you so much.